Okay, time now is 1:33 a.m. on October 24th. Fuck. I can't do it. I can't, like, I've waited 5 months for this, and, like, 2 hours ago, I'm still not that anxious, but it's building up, the anxiety. It's starting to build up. Well, anxiety wouldn't be the right word, because people would mistake it in another thing. The fear. It's starting to build up. And it's building up exponentially, and now it's already 1 hour and 34 minutes into her birthday. I have to do it now. This is the moment that I've been waiting for. Well, one of the moments, but probably the most important one I've been waiting for. For how many years? I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I'm actually legitimately scared. I watched 2 hours of The Boys, and by the end I'm like, God, why is it so long? And it's just, I don't know what to do now. Here's the thing. If I don't say happy birthday to her right now, don't worry. I still got tomorrow. I still have tomorrow. Okay? I still do. God damn it. But here's the thing. Oh, did I say what time is it right now? It's 1:35 right now. Anyways, but if I don't say happy birthday to her right now or tomorrow, I think I'm gonna regret super duper hard. Like, of course, I can still speak to her on grad din, but that may not even happen. B, that is, even if it happens, it's like 2 months from now. So I have to speak to her. And if I don't speak to her now and I want to speak to her tomorrow, I won't be able to sleep tonight or later. You know? I wouldn't be able to sleep soundly. God damn it. God damn it. See, Form 3, ninth grade, Form 3, what was it, 2017, early 2017? Actually, late 2016, like at the end of 2016, I started to think, okay, well, actually, in Form 1, Mary's already considered like, oh, she's someone special. But I didn't, I wasn't as interested in her as I was to Jordana, who I didn't love, but I just really got really fascinated by the lore and history of her. Turns out she's just a pretty crappy person, or she became more of a crappy person as time goes by. Mary and I were actually friends, but for a very, very short period of time. So short, it felt like it never happened for 2 months in 2015, in early 2015. It was February to April. And then, of course, Bernice had to fuck everything up and hate on Mary and put the blame on me as well. So I and Mary, we had a goodbye. And then the next time we got close to one another, we weren't friends. We were just project teammates for a huge, huge project in 2015 and 2016. It went on for the whole year. And then that's it. And then by the end of 2016, I was already in Form 3. And I began following her on social media, seeing these weird, edgy, and artistic Instagram posts and stories, sometimes very sexual, sometimes brutally honest. And I thought, well, she's kind of sassy of a person. She's kind of rebellious of a person. She's not super edgy, anyways. And then I hear rumors about her, like rumors about her being not the person she is, just lies, but not in an evil, manipulative way like Jordana does. She doesn't lie constantly, but she has secrets. But she acts so cute and innocent, but yet in real life, when I see her from afar, like, it still seems like she's holding something back. It still seems like she's being really confident over something. She has a crappy music taste, I guess. Throughout the years, she would go into the classroom and speak to Selena and Suki, who are her close friends, and she would sing like a, or was it Suki who started singing like a One Direction song, and then she started singing along or something? I kind of forgot, but something along the lines of that. In Form 4, I think, Form 4 in November, which was 2017, I impersonated Idris. That caught Mary's attention, and Mary spoke to me, and that was like, fuck, Mary spoke to me, and that was only Form 4. That was like 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. Actually 3, because that's 2017. At that point, Mary is super fascinating and interesting to me, but I still don't know what this is. So I don't know. And throughout the entire Form 5, I still want to speak to her. Like every week I would be like, "Oh, I'm going to speak to her this week. I'm going to speak to her. I'm going to speak to her." And each week I fail. Right? Form 6. And in Form 5, I already told myself like, "Okay, man, maybe I'll never speak to her ever again, because that's not how it's going to work. It's not going to work. I'll never speak to her. We're not in the same class. We're not, I'm not her type. She is my type, I guess, but I only guess because I don't really know her. I don't really know her personality. It's all speculations, man. It's all rumors and secrets and little clues here and there, but that's already interesting enough for me. Like that has fascinated me so much, but I'm definitely not her type. Like the boys she had dated, tall, athletic, handsome. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna give up. But here's the thing: if I never tell her and she never knows how I feel, um, it's my loss. Okay? I will feel great remorse. I will think about this every day, and I won't be able to move on. There's a breakthrough last year, December 20th, Victory Day. I spoke to her, even though it meant nothing to her. It meant a lot to me, and thus December 20th became my favorite day of 2019. And then I spoke to her again, completely by chance, on May 11th, the last day of the exam day. And at that point, I was extremely nervous because I was about to take my last exam. So I was just, my mind was blank, basically. I was actually trembling. I was actually shaking from both the fear of the exams and speaking to her. On July 22nd, that is the next time I saw her, it was back at school, and she was back at school as well. We were going to receive our DSE results. And I stuck around with Oliver because I thought she's going to speak to Oliver, but that didn't happen. I went back home and I'm like, fine, I'll speak to her on Instagram. And then I was like, okay, wait, you know what? Nah, because that's awkward. On May 25th, which is actually before July, right? On May 25th, I spoke to people like Cedric and Natalie and Grant, and they convinced me that Mary is not interesting, she's not special, she's actually a really shallow person, she's a basic bitch. And I think I kind of agree, even though I don't know her personality at all. But still, that being said, to normal people, to others, Mary's maybe a very normal person, but to me, I don't know. I'm not sure, and I need to find out. She called me a detective. She made me a detective. She wrote the word detective on a notebook before it was official. Turns out she is the last case I have to solve. She made me the detective so that I can solve her as the last case. And it's so poetic. It's really not that crazy in reality. Anyways, I waited so long until October 24th, that is today, to speak to her. How the fuck am I gonna do it, man? How am I gonna do it? Okay, still, better than nothing. I have rehearsed the conversation at least 100 times already. Hey, happy birthday. Thank you. And okay. I don't know how will she respond, by the way. hey, happy birthday, thank you. I tried to say happy birthday to you last year, but failed. So, and I say it in English. I was thinking, should I say it to her in Cantonese or nah? English seems. I have no idea, but I'm gonna say it in English anyways. If she replies with Cantonese, then whatever. I'll do it in Cantonese. But last year I tried to say happy birthday to you, but I failed. Can't make the same mistake twice. Oh, really? Thank you. Haha, emoji. If she doesn't continue the conversation, I say, okay. Um, you remember last Christmas when I spoke to you? She will say, yes. I say, Did, can you tell that I was extremely afraid and nervous? She will say either, yeah, I know, or no, I don't know. Either way, I'll say, well, actually, at that point, I've already been waiting to speak to you for maybe 2 years, maybe even 3. Really? Then why haven't you spoken to me? I said, because I'm afraid, I'm afraid I'll say the wrong thing, like make myself embarrassing and all, which, by the way, is totally true. I always say the wrong thing. That's why I'm rehearsing this shit right now. Or if she doesn't ask, why didn't you speak to me? I'll just say, well, I've never actually done this. So I know it sucks. I know it sucks. This is my first time doing this. But yeah, in Form 3 and Form 4, you were kind of interesting, but I don't know what's this. So I guess you know how I feel now. At this point in the conversation, it's gonna be a little awkward. She's gonna spam some, not spam, but she's gonna type some emojis like, haha, okay. And then I'm gonna change the topic, push and pull. I pull back. I say, oh, by the way, I do know that I make short films. I make movies, right? Did you see my last one? She's gonna say, nope. Well, check it out. Even though she doesn't have the link. If she asks me, I will give her. But can I write a character that's based off of you, inspired from you? Chances are like, sure. Can I see the script? And I'll say something witty like, oh well, spoilers. And then he's gonna be like, haha, well, I hope you succeed. And if she figures out that, I like her, then like, yeah, this part is the most difficult. Then I guess for 3 years I wanted to speak to you, and I don't know what is this feeling, but I just think you're really interesting. It's like you're a mystery. It's like you're a puzzle. No, I won't say anything weird, like, oh, you're a puzzle for me to solve and all that. I won't say anything creepy. You don't do that. You don't say such things. You don't try to be poetic about things while at the same time you can't be too blunt and naive and ignorant. So I'll be like, so I guess at around 2 years, maybe 1.5 years ago, I realized that I'm interested in you, and I realized why. No, I can't say it like that. I don't know why I wasn't interested in anyone else. I didn't know why. But you know what I'm talking about, right? She's gotta know. She's not this dumb, okay? She's not this dumb. She may have almost failed maths and chemistry or whatever, but she's not this dumb, actually. She's actually quite smart. Maybe not academically, but socially. You don't underestimate her. No. Okay, guys. I'm gonna do it. It's 1:48 a.m. I've been speaking for 13 minutes. I'm going to screen record this actually, though I'm not going to show it to you guys. I'm just going to screen record this because it's the moment, okay? There's actually a chance that she doesn't reply immediately today. Maybe she's already asleep. Maybe she's being a good girl now. But, wish me luck. If I remain alive tomorrow, oh boy. Again, I've never done this. Leo has done this. Leo's 1.5 years younger than me. And he did this a year ago. So, like, age-wise, he's 2 years ahead of me. And it worked out for him. That's the worst part. And I expect Mary to be like, okay, well, we can chat from time to time and be friends. That would be great already, okay? At least I'm not being stranger zoned. But even if she stranger zones me, I won't be that hurt. I kind of expect it, you know? Mary, again, like that metaphor I used on the other day. I'm a beggar, she's a millionaire. Imagine walking on the streets one day and you see a beggar on the floor with broken, ragged old clothes speaking to a millionaire in a fancy suit or dress. That's the situation that I'm in right now. I'm the beggar. She's the millionaire. Her social status is extremely high. There are random strangers that follow her Instagram account because she's cute. I have like the least number of followers among everyone in school probably. So, beggar, millionaire. Beggar, millionaire. Though I'm not going to beg for her, okay? If she's like, well, I already have a boyfriend now and I'm busy with school, and I'll say, fine, at least you know, that's all I want. And in truth, that really is all I want, because I know that beggars can't be choosers and I can't ask for more. Besides, I need to leave Hong Kong like maybe a year later, so even if we actually become a thing, which is ridiculous, okay? It's never gonna happen. And I mean it. But even that 0.0000001% chance that we become a thing, you know what? It has to end. Of course, there is an ending. And I'll respect that. You know? That's fate. That's destiny. Though at least when I am dying on my deathbed, I will remember that one day, after years of waiting, I had the courage to speak to the girl that I like. I have the courage. 6 years ago, I was socially anxious. I messed things up. I'm awkward and embarrassed. But 6 years later, when I was 18 years old, I did the impossible. I did the impossible. At least I have that to be proud of when I'm dying on my deathbed, okay? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. Oh my god, I can't do it. I must do it. I have to do it. Fuck. Oh my god. This is bad. Alright, time now is 3:34. Afternoon on October 24th. Whew. I didn't have a good sleep, I didn't fall asleep really quick. I think I fell asleep at around 5, honestly. And then I just woke up at around 11. But, goddamn, what happened before I sleep, So, I don't know what to say, man. I really don't know. Right now, I'm not super excited or, like, I don't feel, like addicted or obsessed. It's not like I want to do this thing so much. Now I finally got it and I want to explode with joy. I don't get that feeling now. Honestly, I just feel relieved because I've been hyping this up so much. For the past how many years it has been, like I've been telling myself I have to do it, but now I've finally done it and it's relieving. It's like one less problem to deal with. But truly, what happened last night was amazing. I and Mary, we actually now I will not say talk about everything that Mary told me. Um, but most of it is really fine. Like it's not like she's telling me the deepest, darkest secrets ever. You know. So I and Mary, like just me saying this right now feels so weird because it feels like it's never going to happen and it just happened. I and Mary, like, we chatted for 1 hour, and originally I planned to study. I didn't study one bit. I tried my best to like study while speaking to her, but I couldn't focus. But we ended up chatting for 1 hour on Instagram. And that's crazy because when is the last time I've talked to someone I know for 1 hour on social media? Like, that's a long time ago. Like, that's probably Natalie when she still isn't busy doing everything. But what's really surprising to me is Mary, I am like, usually when I and a stranger start a conversation, we wouldn't immediately talk about some deep, thoughtful stuff. But when I'm speaking to Mary, like within 10 minutes or so, or 20 minutes or so, we just start talking about like deep stuff, like deep thoughtful stuff. I don't know how. Like, dude, you barely know me, I barely know you. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, at some point. So because the conversation is 1 hour long and I rehearsed like the conversation, a part of the conversation, many times, but trust me, like 95% of the conversation are all freestyles. I didn't rehearse any of it because she would ask me like questions that I wouldn't expect her to ask, or she would say things that I wouldn't expect her to say, and I would just respond, you know? So a lot of it, like most of it, is actually not rehearsed. They're actually off the script. But I still managed to nail it because I'm a smart and witty guy. And like a few months before, I made a bullet point list of the things I want to tell Mary, like the diaries. I want to tell Mary about the diaries. I want to tell Mary about the short films, my music taste, the past, why I'm interested in her Instagram posts, the fact that the media account that she follows on Instagram has this guy who spoke to me about uh, dating and if I like anyone from my school. And in yesterday's conversation, I've pretty much talked about all of these things. And in the most natural way ever, it doesn't feel like I'm randomly bringing up topics. It's almost like Mary made it easier for me by guiding the conversation. Um, like holy shit. Like again, 20 minutes into the conversation or 10 or 15, like we started talking about like what happened in forms 1 and 2, and she's like, "Wow, I forgot everything that happened in forms 1 and 2." And I'm like, "Haha." And then she's like, "Well, maybe I chose to forget." and then I'm like, "Yeah, like normally if because the way she speaks, she's like hinting, she's very subtle. She's all about the nuance. So I choose to forget. That implies that something really terrible happened in that period of time for her and also for me. And if I was a kid, I would be like, "Whoa!" I'm still a little like amazed, but I was like, "Haha, yeah, it's totally normal." And I was like, "Yeah, forms 1 and 2 really suck. I didn't have a good time." And then she's like, "Me neither." And then I said, "But I'm happy those things happened to me because it made me me." And then she like really agreed. Like, "Yeah, I'm really happy these things happened to me." She says she made some bad decisions and fucked some things up. No, she didn't say that, but she made some bad decisions and and like it didn't give her a good time. And I'm like, yeah, I know, like there are some things that happened to me in Form 2 that made me really socially awkward in the next 3 years. I said I was a loser. Like I was pretty pessimistic throughout the whole conversation. Like she said, I'm actually surprised that she would say something like this. Like she said her senior years are perfect. And by senior year she means like forms 4 to 6. And I'm like, well, my senior years are pretty depressing. And then she says, oops, sorry. Um, and then I said, well, at least it's better than forms 1 and 2. And then she's like, yeah, definitely. And at one point I showed her my diaries, the photo I've been keeping in my phone for I don't know how long, just waiting to show Mary. And then she saw it and she's like, oh, MFG, that's crazy. I forgot that I gave you my diary. I gave you a notebook and, tell you to write diary on it. And then she asked me, like, well, what did I write? And then I said, no, you just wrote my name and the word detective on the cover. That's all. Yeah, and, yeah, we talked about a bunch of stuff. We'd also talked about, like what she wants to do when she grows up. Like I asked her, are you still trying to be a translator slash interpreter when you grow up? And she's like, nah, which is like expected. Like I expect a lot of people around me to just change their career, like their career options because of the ever-changing landscape of the Hong Kong economy. So like I expect that to happen. And also people's interests change in general. Like, a lot of people want to grow up to be writers, but like come on. Nobody gains any profit from being a writer. So Mary ends up wanting to be someone who does like PR or advertisement or like editor or journalist. Not editor like movie editor, like magazine editor of sorts. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And she's like, you're majoring in film. Again, if I was 12 years old, right, I would be like, whoa, you read my mind through the screen. But this time I was like, well, is it because you saw my Instagram story, so you know I'm majoring in film? And she's like, yep. Though we were talking about this media group on Instagram, and one of the members in the media group had a dinner with me and my mom like a couple months ago, and he asked me, have I dated in school? And I said no. And then he asked me, is there a girl that I like? I said yes. And I'm talking about Mary. And then Mary's talking about this guy. And Mary says, well, even though I don't know him that well, he's funny on the outside, but pretty mature in the inside. And I'm like, and she said, I can tell somehow. And then I said, well, that's one of the reasons why I was interested in you. Because you can tell people's personality without really talking to them. And then she's like, haha. For the entire first half of the conversation, I just want to tell her I like her. For the entirety of the first half of the conversation, I just try to tell her I like her, but I don't want to directly say it because that would be really awkward. And and she always says, I'm dumb. I don't know what's going on. Like I would ask her, so do you get it now? And then she's like, no, I'm dumb. I said, I'm curious about you since Form 3. And then she's like, well, I guess you're curious about me since Form 3? No. I asked her, why would someone who hasn't spoken to you in years suddenly show up and say happy birthday to you? Why? And is interested in you for 3 years. And she's like, wow, that's very long. And then I explained, because that someone likes you. But it isn't like, I feel like 90% of the conversation we had isn't like, oh, you like me? Like, we didn't focus on that too much. Instead, we just focus on some other things. Like, she's studying in a college now, I'm studying in a college too. We talked about Oliver quite a bit because that's like the only person between us. And I was like, yeah, Oliver, he's a really, really nice person. And the mayor's like, yeah, Oliver thinks differently. Which is funny because on December 7th, 2019 after the crazy drunken incident between Natalie and Grant in Oliver's apartment. I and Oliver talked, and I asked Oliver, does Mary think differently? And Oliver says, yeah. And then Mary now says Oliver think differently. And then I said, well, I guess we all think differently. Because Mary and I, we have a lot of similarities, I found out. We have a lot of things in common, but also, like Oliver and many other people in Forms 1 and 2, because of the experience we had. So we all became pretty fucked up, basically, but in a good way. In a way, it helped us grow. It's like giving a plant a poison. It's like trying to poison a plant, but instead of the plant dying, the plant develops, or the organism develops an immunition to the poison. That's basically what happened to me, Mary, Oliver, Natalie, Jordana, Cedric, Jeffrey, Linda. The list goes on. We were poisoned when we were just a naive young children, or some of us were pretty naive. Some of us were already messed up. And when we're all collectively poisoned, we managed to find a way to endure the poison. And now that we've grown up, we have found immunition. That's amazing. I asked her where will Linda and Darnell study in USA, and she said she forgot. She was surprised many times, like, how do I remember all these things? Like in Form 4, the impersonation incident with me impersonating Idris, and Mary's like, do it again! Like, I told her, and she's like, what? I don't remember. And then again, the diary stuff, she doesn't remember anything at all. Like, there are many things that she doesn't remember. And I tell her, like, you look very, like, serious sometimes in the public when I look at you. And you look back at me very seriously. And I'm like, ooh. And then she's like, really? Did I do that? And she said her classmates in C class always call her a West face, which is like a slang term for, like, why do you always look upset? And I said, I like it. It's cute. No, I didn't say it's cute, but I said I like it. If a girl always smiles, it feels fake. Side dissing Jordana. Yeah, I told her about my short film, like, okay, so is it okay if I use one of the characters, that's based off of you? And she's like, yes, of course. And then I said, well, don't worry, there will be other characters that are based off of, Cedric, Natalie, me, Oliver. And she's like, ooh, like, oh my gosh. And then I said, so I guess now you know what my short film is about. And Mary's like, yep. And we both collectively know that our experiences in Forms 1 and 2 are nightmares. It's really dark times, really mentally and psychologically challenging times. But at the same time, we don't want to completely turn away from it. We embrace it and enjoy it for how dark and messed up it is. And she's like, well, even though it's a nightmare, I can appreciate it as an art piece. And I'm like, wow, yeah. I mean, even though it's nightmare, it's artistic too. And we talked about artistic stuff, like, I talked about how I was really socially awkward from Forms 3 to 5, and I didn't talk to people much. I was afraid that people will be rude to me, so I didn't share my feelings and thoughts. I kept everything to myself, and it sucked. And I said, I just wrote my feelings down on my diaries. And then she's like, yeah, some people take photos, some people write. And I'm like, oh yeah, you take a lot of Instagram photos, right? And then she's like, yeah, like, of course, duh. I said, wow, you're really artistic. And then I said, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in you, because you're very artistic. yeah, just I have a lot to say. I really do. Now the only three things that I haven't done to her is uh, where ask her where is she born, and then send her the link to my last short film. I asked her if she saw my last short film, and she's like, "Oh, is it the running one?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, my last two short films also involve a lot of running, but I think you're referring to my last one." And she said, "Yeah, I watch it on Instagram." And I said, "Nope, that's only a portion of it." So I haven't sent the link to her. And then we also talked about graduation dinner a little bit. And then I was like, "Oh, originally I wanted to say this to you in graduation dinner, but it's postponed." And the mayor's like, "Yeah, I know. I thought it's gonna be in October." And then I said, "Well, Ernest said it's gonna be postponed to December." And then she's like, "Really? Well, I hope it happens then." But yeah, overall she's really nice. But it's not surprising that a stranger is nice. It's not shocking. Because nowadays, for 100% of the times, every stranger I speak to just tries to be nice and polite because that's the right way to socialize. But Mary is extra nice, and Mary is different from those strangers because Mary would just talk about some deep, dark shit. Not really that deep and dark, but like she would talk about some yeah, like what happened to us in the past. It's really fucked up, but it's important. Like we would enter that zone. Um, yeah, and I don't feel any sexual aura from her from the conversation last night, which is actually a good thing, because she's so much more than just, "Oh yeah, I feel really good." She's so much more than that. She has so much more depth and complexity, and she's so much more interesting of a person than that. She's so much more than just a horny girl who just wants to live fast and good. She's very thoughtful, and she knows that, and that's amazing. So yeah, that concludes our conversation last night, and there's a great chance that we'll be able to speak to each other again, and great stuff. Great stuff. I think I was talking about short films, and I said, some people were watching TV shows on TVB, and I'm like, wow, it's really shit. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I can do better than that. And then she's like, well, I don't watch TV, but I watch a lot of dramas though. And then I'm like, yeah, I watch a lot of movies and TV shows. It's my kind of thing. Um, and I said I listen to a lot of music as well. And then she says, oh yeah, I watched The Notebook. And I'm like, okay. And then we talk about music. Like I said, I found a piece of paper that we used to pass around with Cedric and Bernice, and then she's like, haha, yeah. Back then, I listened to a lot of EXO, and now I listen to a lot of BTS, and I'm like, I was being honest. I said I listened to the last two albums, and it was it's not for me. And then she's like, yeah, it's not for you. And then I said, though, I like to listen to a lot of musical genres to just try it out. And then I introduced her to Radiohead and Death Grips. And she actually looked it up, like Radiohead. Oh, it's a rock band. And maybe for her, like she doesn't know much about rock music, so she thought all rock music is just loud guitars and raw. Like that's metal, by the way. Or just loud guitars in general. Maybe that's her impression of rock music. So I said, there's actually a lot of kinds of rock music, though I like almost all of them. And then there's Death Grips, which I didn't get. I got Oliver listening to JPEG Mafia. And I got Nick listening to Death Grips, and I got a few people around me listen to some new music. So I'm proud. I'm doing God's work. I'm doing the musical God's work. I'm spreading the good music. Spreading the good music taste. Uh, fun fact: my cousin actually spoke to me a bit a couple days ago. Do you know JPEG Mafia? And I said, yeah. And I'm like, why are you suddenly listening to him? And then he's like, well, I just want to try out new stuff. And then he's like, oh, have you heard of Have a Nice Life? And I'm like, yeah, Death Consciousness. I've heard of it a couple times. I listened to it a couple times. So yeah, my music taste, it's not like the greatest, but at least I got the basics, the foundations. So time now is 11:54 um p.m. on October 24th. Um yeah, I'm still sinking in on what happened before I sleep. Sometimes today when I, listen to music or eat my lunch and dinner, I would remember that last night happened, and I would just smile, and I would try to suppress that smile because my family is around. And they would ask questions like, what are you smiling about? And I'm gonna be like, nothing. Um, but yeah, Mary's a real G. I feel like the fact that she's being friendly towards me, the fact that I and her spoke with one another for 1.5 hours, doesn't mean that she likes me a lot. Because she also told me yesterday that she and um, Ivan had breakfast together because Ivan has left to UK. Ivan was my primary school classmate, and I and him, we sat next to one another for a few times, or I think one time, but that was like 7 years ago or something. And for the next 6 years of my school life, aka my secondary school, I've never spoken to Ivan except for that one time when I had to tell him that about the whole funeral thing, because one of our mutual classmates in primary school had passed away due to an illness. I talked about this already, and I just went up to him and just told him about it. Um, that's the only instance. But yeah, Ivan is in UK, and Mary had breakfast with him. So Mary's a people person. I don't know if she's like extroverted or something, but at least she's really comfortable with people. And it doesn't sound like she's trying to be nice to me, to use me or something, or it doesn't sound like she's faking it. If someone's faking being nice to me, I can tell, because I've experienced that shit a lot. And Mary doesn't seem like it. Mary seems legitimately like a nice person who's really easy to talk to, way easier than I thought actually. But yeah, it's great that I and Mary we actually spoke. So I told Leo about it, and Leo's like, "Damn, like, yeah, that's great. Good for you, man. Good for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, good for me." um, if yesterday happened in 2019, it would be one of the best days of 2019. But I have to admit, yesterday isn't the best day of 2020. The best day so far is still September 10th. It depends. If graduation dinner happens, maybe it's going to be the graduation dinner day. Or if I actually am able to make my short film, it's going to be the short film day. But yesterday is going to be in the list. It's going to be in the list. Um, yeah, I feel like speaking to Mary shouldn't be that dangerous or shouldn't be that challenging of a task um because I've spoken to random strangers from USA because of that one group activity in my English class, and I have to speak to them, like use my real voice. That, in a way, it's way more challenging than speaking to Mary. But the only reason why I hesitated so much when I spoke to Mary is because of the implications I thought it's going to have, because I have to do the group activity thing with those people because I have to. The teacher says so. But I don't have to speak to Mary. It's not like a law that this guy, me, have to speak to Mary. It's not a law. It's not a rule that I have to abide. So I was worried about the implications it may have. But yeah, just thank God that Mary turns out to be a really nice person. Again, on May 25th, Grant, Cedric, and Natalie, basically convinced me that Mary's just a basic bitch. On that day, Mary introduced like e-cigarette to Oliver, and Oliver didn't like it, and I was like, wow, she a bad bitch. Um, and yeah, I mean, she does. When I speak to her, she doesn't sound like one of those, I'm really innocent and clean and pure. Haha. Sex? Never heard of it. I've never watched porn before. Like, Mary's gotta be just in it. She's in it. She likes to get her hands dirty. I mean, she's not like the most, corrupted person ever. Duh. I mean, she doesn't. I hope she doesn't take any drugs. I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not sure. Though it's rather rare in Hong Kong for teenagers to like smoke weed. It's actually kind of rare. Though I know a few people in my school who does that, and it's normal. There are teens who follow rules and there are teens who don't. So it doesn't really surprise me. It's just like, you smoke weed. You're immature. You're a loser. Me, who has never dated a single person before, I am the mature one. In the conversation, I also repeated to Mary many times, like, oh, I'm a loser. I was afraid that you're just going to ignore me after I say happy birthday. I said that I was afraid that I would say something wrong and I would upset people. And I didn't even know that I'm repeating all these things. So it just accentuates the fact that something traumatic happened to me in Form 2, causing me to be very socially cautious to a point of tragedy, basically. Like, at least in Mary's perspective, that's probably what happened to me. But then I don't know. Again, Mary's smart, though, even though it took her a while for her to figure out, oh, you like me? Or maybe she already figured out earlier, but I didn't straight up directly tell her, oh, I like you. But Mary's still kind of smart. Like, as far as people go, like, she doesn't seem like the kind of person who would drag on a text, Again, it's wrong, Grant, Natalie, and Cedric thinking that Mary's just a basic, normal person. They're wrong. There has never been a time in my life, and I'm 100% sure, there has never been a time in my life where I've spoken to a person who's either a stranger or someone who I haven't spoken to in years, and I and this person speak for around 15 minutes and we immediately talk about serious stuff. Like, we haven't talked, like, actually have a conversation in years, okay? In just 15 minutes, we start to talk about something serious. And what's even more amazing is that Mary, even though Mary knows about these serious things, he knows about the dark side of humanity. She knows that, what we have experienced, what we have been through. are truly some of the shittiest experiences we've had. It really traumatized us, and it has resulted in some psychopathic, sociopathic people, maybe a few victims like me. Oh God, victim to those people. I was nearly victim to a sociopath by the name of Keith, and actually an actual victim to a person by the name of Jordana, who's a psychopath, or at least on the spectrum. And aside from that, all the chaos that really fucked our brains up during those first 2 years, like, Mary acknowledges it. But what's even better is that Mary acknowledges it and looks at these incidents in a very mature way. Now, I like a girl or a woman who is fucked up, but not like extremely, but at least doesn't look at human life and the world like, oh, it's a wonderful world, you know, rainbows and unicorns, and humans, they're all nice, you know. I don't like dating people like that, you know. I don't like dating people who are naive and innocent. I like dating people who are slightly shady, secretive, who are ambiguous, who knows about the darkness and the sketchiness of the world, and knows their way around this labyrinth that we call society. Mary is one of those, but at the same time, I don't like it when a person is like maybe I would like it if I'm younger, but now that I'm older, I don't like it when people just like are so focused on, you know, the dark side of humanity, like, oh, it's so cool, it's so weird, right? Like, oh, you know, it's so complicated, you know, I like gossiping, I like talking shit about others, oh, wars. Mary looks at it in a really mature way, and she agrees that, yeah, I don't want to remember what happened in the past. I don't want to remember what happened to us back in Forms 1 and 2, because these 2 years truly damage our mental health quite severely. However, I still look at it as a healthy experience, because even though we are really hurt by these incidents, at least we have changed for the better. At least most of us, you know. I don't think Jordana have changed for the better. I mean, she's still a crappy person right now, but a lot of people actually changed for the better, and that's very admirable. Also, the fact that Mary views these negative experiences as something of artistic value. It's just like, oh, she gets it, she gets it, she gets it. She gets it. This is exactly why I'm making a short film. I can be speaking to a stranger who doesn't know me that well. I'll tell her, yo, these shitty experiences, right? Should I make a movie about it? She says, yes, because it has artistic value. Yes, yes, she gets... My boy. Ow. Anyways, I'm going to study a little bit now, and then I'm going to watch some anime, and then I'm going to go to bed. I've been speaking for 13 minutes. It's great, man. It's feeling great, man. Okay, it's 2:34 a.m. I'm way late to my schedule. I just want to say one thing. I just, you know, even though in the last 2 days, two people unsubbed from me, which is kind of sad. Rip. But I just got a comment in my mini albums review, and one of the albums I reviewed on that video is Matana Roberts' Coin Chapter 4, and I received a comment saying like, oh, the pronunciation is actually Coin and not Kwang, but a lot of people assume this because of the first album, and then I checked who commented, and it's Matana Roberts herself. So, damn, okay. This is like the first time I've ever reviewed anything and the person who made that anything actually commented on my video. So, That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it right now because I'm real sleepy, but damn, that's pretty cool. That's an achievement to be had right there. Shout out to Matana Roberts. And I checked her channel. It's not like she has a lot of subscribers or anything. Like only 39. I mean, it's not like I have a lot of subscribers. I have like 179 now, which is actually not a lot. Yeah. I doubt she'll watch any other like videos I make because to be fair, I am very, very, very unprofessional. I make videos talking about this. I'm very unprivate of a person, given that I'm making videos like just to talk about my feelings for hours and hours on. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. But yeah, a weird moment, definitely.